Hello friends. Hey, thanks for taking a few minutes and reviewing this video with me. I remain excited about our vision that the Lord has given our conference to multiply disciples and leaders and churches as a team. I believe that this is Jesus' marching orders for us as leaders in His church. He's appointed us to go and bear fruit that will last. So I believe that as we continue to labor and strive to build a disciple-making movement, that God will pour out His Spirit upon us as we seek to know Him and make Him known. We need to acknowledge, however, the tension of the day, the tension that we find ourselves living in. All of us are living between two poles. On the one hand, there's the immediacy of the moment, where we find ourselves in this worldwide pandemic, which has caused great upheaval in our lives and our churches. And on the other hand, there's this commission of Jesus upon us as leaders in the church to make disciples. We recognize that it's easy for us as leaders to kind of keep our heads down in this crisis management mentality, which drains away all of our creative energy and kingdom vision. It's easy for all of the tension and anxiety that COVID has brought into our world to consume our best thoughts and our missional leadership. It's even easy for us to become focused on all the national tension in this political season. We need to recognize that we are witnessing the greatest seismic shift in the history of the church since the Reformation. The post-COVID church is going to be very different than the pre-COVID church. Let that sink in for a moment. Friends, we must not allow these things to write our leadership script in the coming year if we're going to be faithful to the mission Jesus gave to us, and we will need to remain focused on our own learning and growth as pastoral leaders in the days ahead. God wants us to be faithful to His call of disciple making, and the mission of our conference is to provide us with the strategic support that we need to thrive in our shared mission of multiplying disciples and leaders and churches. And this is why belonging to a network is so important. We're blessed with many brilliant leaders and pastoral practitioners. Our team is blessed with gifted leaders who not only possess strong gifting, but excellent ministry experiences. And as we offer one another our best insights and practices, we can learn from one another in the days ahead. As we experience transformative learning, it'll create opportunities for transformational leading. We're fundamentally committed to serving you and your church in this way, and I'm asking you to make a significant commitment to grow as a leader this year and to grow in your leadership craft. Let's make this conference year a year of transformative learning and leadership growth and kingdom expansion. I pray that it'll be a year characterized by spiritual nourishment and intellectual stimulation and emotional encouragement and increased leadership competency. The writer of Ecclesiastes wrote, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity the one who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they'll keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." Because we take our mission seriously, we put together the following training and resourcing events for our pastoral team, our lay leaders, and our church for the 2020 and 2021 conference year. As you read and listen to what follows, you'll note the intentionality with which we're offering quality training opportunities to help us follow Jesus more effectively into the mission field in this new environment. It is the expectation of our conference that all of our appointed pastors and CMCs will prioritize the training opportunities on their calendars going forward. Thanks for being part of our pastoral team. Let's learn and grow together this year.
Hey team, as Superintendent Bruce already said, we are committed to providing our missional partners, leaders, and churches the strategic support they need to thrive in our shared mission of multiplying disciples, leaders, and churches. To that end, we are excited to release our schedule of resourcing opportunities for this conference year. I want to take a few minutes to briefly share with you the different training events that we are offering in the coming months. This year, we will be focusing on 4 areas: racial justice, multiplication, church turnaround, and pastor care. I also want to let you know up front that given the current uncertainties surrounding how we gather, we are prepared to offer all of our training virtually if needed. The first area of focus is racial justice. God is passionate about justice, and therefore the people of God should have a deep passion for and commitment to justice as well. Unfortunately, the church in America has not always demonstrated this commitment and has often been silent when it comes specifically to racial injustice. The SMC is committed to listening and learning about racial injustice and its impact on society and the church, and with the goal of identifying and dismantling unhealthy systems and structures and building a more just and equitable conference. While there's still a lot of room for growth as a conference in this area, we have already begun our collective learning experience through our SMC panel discussion on race, justice, and the church, and our conference-wide reading of Daniel Hill's book, Wide Awake. As we've already stated, these are conversation starters, and we are going to continue learning, growing, and dialoguing together as we participate in a required self-paced online racial justice course launching this fall. In this course, you will watch presentations that address pertinent questions surrounding race and justice, and receive tools to leverage your influence to work towards reconciliation and justice in your church and community. You will also have the opportunity to process key learnings with colleagues through virtual interactive discussion groups. We are hoping to release our first module in late September and will provide you with access to the course once it's available. The second resourcing focus for us is multiplication. In order to be effective in the mission of multiplication, we are providing critical training for our church planters and pastors of our existing churches. This fall and spring, we are partnering with Dynamic Church Planting International to offer Multiply Intensives with 2 training tracks. The first track is Church Planting Essentials, which introduces 12 biblical principles to equip church planters from initial planning to launching a new church. The second track is Churches Planting Churches, which guides existing congregations in birthing new churches and apostolic initiatives using the mother-daughter concept. All pastors are invited to participate in the Multiply Intensives. All lead pastors are expected to participate in either the fall or spring Churches Planting Churches track. All new church planters are expected and required to participate in either the fall or spring Church Planting Essentials track. The fall Multiply Intensive is November 9th through 11th, and the spring Multiply Intensive is April 19th through the 21st in 2021. The fall event will be virtual, and the venue for the spring intensive has yet to be determined. We are also partnering with the Exponential Network this fall to host an Exponential Roundtable. Roundtables are half-day sessions where we will learn from leading practitioners as they unpack how the church can advance unity and multiplication in these challenging times. Each session will include TED-style talks and roundtable conversations. Participants will come away with action steps on how to move the conversation forward in their local churches. Roundtables are designed for smaller settings to prioritize conversations and be more adaptable to pandemic guidelines. Currently, our roundtable is scheduled for October 12th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at our Dearborn Church. However, we are prepared to take the event to online only if needed. We have one more multiplication resourcing opportunity, and that is our Forge cohorts. Forge Motown is a hub of Forge America that trains and equips everyday people to live as missionaries where they're already doing life. And one of the primary ways that we do this is through our Missionary Formation Residency. The residency is a 6-month discipleship cohort experience that will enable any individual to develop a missionary posture and lifestyle where they live, work, and play. Over the past 2 years, many of our pastors have participated in a Forge cohort, and several of our churches have become Forge partners. This fall, we are offering 2 regional options for our cohorts, Forge Motown and Forge Michiana. While each cohort shares the same mission and values, the objectives and design of each cohort differ slightly. The Forge Motown cohort begins in September, and the Michiana cohort begins in October. Our third resourcing focus this year is church turnaround. We're excited to continue offering turnaround church coaching cohorts. This experience includes 10 sessions over 2 years that address the heart of a leader, leadership competencies, and developing and implementing 10 essential church systems. The TCCN curriculum has been updated, and therefore previous participants are encouraged to sign up for a refresher, as there's always room for tweaking and improving our church systems, especially in our current COVID reality. In addition to the 10 cohort sessions, we will also now include 10 implementation coaching sessions, where pastors can process one-on-one or in a small group with a turnaround coach how to develop and implement the different ministry systems in their local church. The next TCCN cohort will start in October. Our final resourcing area is pastor care. We know these are challenging days for pastors. Many longtime pastors have shared how this current season has been the most difficult in all their years of ministry. The SMC is committed to the well-being and care of our pastoral team, and therefore, multiple intentional touchpoints are planned throughout this fall. Throughout this month, we have scheduled 4 outdoor coffee or Zoom meetings with Superintendent Bruce. All SMC pastors are invited to join the superintendent and the executive team at one of our 4 outdoor coffee gatherings. This will be a time for fellowship, networking with colleagues, and mutual encouragement. Lead pastors who cannot make it to one of the coffee gatherings or are uncomfortable with in-person gatherings are asked to join one of the scheduled Zoom calls with Superintendent Bruce. The next regular cycle of Zoom calls with the superintendent will continue in October, and these regular calls will continue to be a time to check in with one another and share praises and pinch points. Lastly, we are also asking you to save the date and time of February 1st, 7 to 9 p.m. for a pastor and spouse virtual evening event. Although gathering our pastors and spouses in a large group in February is not possible, we do want to bless each pastoral family in a tangible way and provide a fun virtual evening for you. You will find more details for all of these events and trainings and how to register for them on our SMC Events page, which can be accessed at a link that you see on your screen. We recognize that this may seem like a full slate of events, and that in the midst of leading churches in these challenging and uncertain times, participating in one more event or training can feel overwhelming and exhausting. So I want to be clear about what's expected and what's optional. We're expecting all pastors to participate in the racial justice online training, our multiply intensives, our gatherings with the superintendent, and the pastors and spouse virtual event. We do hope that beyond these few required events, every pastor will also take advantage of some of the other opportunities that are available and are most suited to their leadership needs and goals. It remains our desire to cultivate a learning culture in the SMC. I am reminded, in fact, that the meaning of the word disciple is literally learner. To be a disciple and leader in Jesus' church is to commit to lifelong learning, and it is our conviction that the leaders best positioned to guide their churches in these challenging days will be the ones who humbly and prayerfully submit themselves to transformative learning and personal growth. We are grateful to be part of a team that values learning and self-leadership, and we look forward with great anticipation to the kingdom fruit that will result in this next year. Grace and peace to you as you serve faithfully and fervently in this season.